For a couple more final touches on this project, I want to open up my project from a fresh R Studio session. So I'm going to go into my protocol folder, click on my R project file, open up a fresh R session, and you'll see why in just a minute. I want to look at both my processing scripts, my processing Rmarkdown file, and my metadata Rmarkdown file that's generating my README. And at the very end, I already have a little bit of system information in terms of the time that the processing file was last compiled or rendered. But another thing I can do is add information about the R session that was used at the time of the rendering. And I'm going to use a function called session info that just spits out some information about the session in terms of what version of R that I'm using, what packages I have installed, various information about the state of the system when I ran this. And this is if somebody's trying to get this to run and having troubles in terms of like maybe not having the right version of packages or whatever, they will have some information about the system execution. So I'm going to add to my sister information a new chunk. And I'll add a comment. Render the session information formatted in Markdown as code. So this is going to look, see, if you look at what it looks like in my console here, this is coming back from my console, and I want this to go into my report as if somebody were sitting at my R console. Therefore, I want it to look more like code than as formatted text. And to do that, I need to put code, Markdown code that will cause it to format it as code. And I can do that with the 3 backwards apostrophes. The same backwards apostrophes I use here, but in this case, it's not going to be R code. It's just going to be generically formatted as code. So I'm not going to put the R part. I'm just going to put 3 backwards apostrophes. And then I need a \n because I want a new line after those 3 apostrophes, because this is going to be basically a chunk of code. And after I put that information, I will again need 3 more backwards apostrophes to indicate the end of that chunk of code. In this case, it's not an R chunk that's going to be evaluated. It's just a block of text that looks like code. And in the middle of this, I want to print out the session info. And I'm using print rather than cat because I want it to look as if it's in the console of an R session. So I'm purposefully making this look like the person who's reading the report has sat down at an R console and typed in this session info function. So with that, I can go ahead and rerun my processing script and regenerate my processing report. I can go to my incremental folder in my processing notes, open that in a web browser. I opened it in another screen. If I bring it over here, we can see that at the end of a report under system information, we have the sentence saying when the report was rendered by Rmarkdown, which is today, which was my last rendering. And we have this window, and notice there's a box around it, and it's written in a constant width font, as you would see if you were sitting on a console on a computer. So that's what I mean by the formatting of this looking like they're sitting at an R console and they have just typed in session info themselves. So we can do that for our processing, and we can also do that. I'm going to take the same code. In this case, I'm going to take all of it because we haven't added any of this to the code or the R Markdown that is generating our README file yet. I need to add my auto numbering system. So I've got to get this code. Let me find a first level heading. Let's start here just so I have to make fewer changes. So this is a first level heading. I need to increment my first level section numbers, so I don't think I need to change anything here, but I do need to add an R nums here so that the numbers string that's being generated ends up in the header in Markdown. And the same idea, I want to concatenate the Markdown code with the formatted system time so that we can see when it has been compiled last, and also I want to render the session info into the report. So if I save this and render my README file again, I can then go to my product, open up my README in a web browser, go to the system information. Again, it's automatically numbered it as section number 9. And same idea, we're going to have when it was last rendered and also that session info information.